Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video we'll be talking about, obviously, the weather. We'll be going over severe storm potential that is actually, as I'm recording this video, going on across southwestern Nebraska. It is 6:48 p.m. when I'm recording the Central Standard Time. There's a threat for tornadoes. I don't know, I won't be going in depth on that. I'll just be kind of giving you an overall forecast look on the United States, what's to come, what happened, and what's with the severe weather briefly, obviously. Before we do, if you guys would like to subscribe to this channel, I talk about the weather. Obviously, if you're new, first check out the channel, but if you're a returning viewer and not yet subscribed, consider doing so. Leaving a like also helps out a ton. Otherwise, let's get into this. So let's start off by looking at the Classic Storm Prediction Center, right? SPC. Notice we do have a moderate risk for severe thunderstorms. That is the second to highest criteria. Usually, it's not issued that often. Usually on most years, several times in one given year, but, the days that it is issued are always taken seriously, and it means that probably something bad is on the way. And obviously that is, as you can see, let's make this a bit more clear. I want to kind of give this a better look. So with all that junk going on, categorical risk, so it's just like everything all combined, all the tornado, wind, hail, this is what it kind of comes out to. Anywhere in the light green, the lightest green, that is a chance for thunderstorms, non-severe thunderstorms. In a second shade of light green, that is severe thunderstorms, but the lowest chance. Slight is already pretty good. That's why we have across the Northeast decent chances. And if you're to look at the radar, there are some storms. Some of them are severe warned, so definitely a wind threat, a hail threat, but nothing compared to what's going on here. Notice we go up another two criteria. We have enhanced, which is affecting large cities like Lincoln, Topeka, Salina, Manhattan, that is Manhattan, Kansas, not New York, and Grand Island. And then in the red, we have moderate. Now, moderate is where things start getting serious, as it could be widespread, damaging storms, and you can see Kearney, North Platte, Hastings, Hayes, and Great Bend. Again, not giant cities, but especially North Platte. That is a large city in Nebraska, and hopefully, whatever does happen, a tornado kind of goes in between where humans don't live. But unfortunately, it's unknown, and that's why there's a moderate. That's why you should take all precautions and not hope that it misses you. Notice tornadoes. This is what we have: 15% chance. That isn't really awfully sorry, that may seem like if it's pretty low, 15%. Often when you speak of rain, 15 is really low, but on a tornado index, 60 is that's just that's almost unheard of. It does happen, but not often. And 15 is where it starts getting dangerous. 30 is when they issue a high, which is again not issued every single year even. And this year we already had two. So 15, definitely take that seriously. Notice the 5% chance and the 10% chance also are things we should be taking care of seriously. Wind 45. Now again, that is approaching the significant spectrum. Again, not yet in the 60, but it definitely could be concerned. Notice it's a bit further to the east than the tornado. So the tornadoes are once the storms first form. The wind, once it kind of forms into a line, and then the hail kind of more with the tornadoes, as the supercells are more supportive of that rather than a line of storms, which this complex will turn into. Notice, yeah, it's pretty high, 45, again, pretty high up in the hail probability index. It's just 5% for the Northeast, and some of those storms could be pretty nasty. Okay, let's go back to the tropical tidbits and take this on one by one. So this is what the storm we're looking at. This is some of the showers and storms that could bring severe weather to the Northeast. Notice some showers, storms, you can see quickly erupting into Kansas, Nebraska. This is what it looks like by 1 a.m. They won't really be dying out throughout the night. Maybe the tornado threat, not necessarily the wind and hail. Notice, as this pushes through, maybe the GFS indicates a bit of snow mixing in on North Dakota. I wouldn't say that's impossible, especially since there will be a lot of cool air behind us. This could bring 50s and 40s into much of the Midwest. So, yeah, definitely a cool down compared to what we've been seeing. But notice, this continues, right, into tomorrow, Thursday, and this is where it could develop a pretty large line, generally south of I-80, which runs across most of the country. So that means south of Chicago, Des Moines, the stronger, bigger storms, but definitely rain and some thunder showers are still possible further to the north. You can see this moves on and into the Northeast. Again, a severe weather threat is possible on Saturday, but you can see that the main forcing doesn't really line up well with the sun. It's mostly going to be in the evening, in the night when, again, the atmosphere is not as buoyant and not as kind of likely to produce these storms. So at least there's that much, and you can see it moves off. And after that, we see another warm up and less active weather. I just want to show you the temperatures and how they will be plummeting. Notice, right? Very, very warm, 70s, 80s. That was Tuesday. This is now Wednesday, so we are now at hour 0. And notice, as we push this forward, look at this. Thursday, it gets much cooler. Notice Wisconsin, North Dakota, again, those 30s, which is why it definitely could be supportive of some snow. And then look at that as we push into Friday, Saturday. Definitely chilly day, especially Friday for much of the Midwest. North, south. You can be warmer in Canada than in portions of Missouri. So yeah, that's what rain-cooled air does, especially when it's provided by thunderstorms, which have access to high up in the atmosphere. Notice, look at that. Frost advisories are definitely going to be there for those locations, and some of them are already issued. So yeah, definitely late season cold spell. But as I mentioned, this pattern breaks off, and we start seeing a warm up. Not really, heat, I would say, but definitely not 50s, right? And look at that, 60s, 70s, 80s across much of the countries. Typical pattern. And then by kind of the first week of June. End of the first week of June, we start getting heat, especially across the southwest and southeast, and even to the north. So, yeah, definitely, summer pattern. But, okay, so let's take a look at some higher range models. Let's take a look at the HRRR. The HRRR model is a relatively good model. Only goes out to 18 hours every hour. This is what it looks like right now. Probably a bit underdone, but you can see those supercells are, again, the ones that could deliver some of that tornado threat as they move on into the United States, into Ohio, Minnesota. Look at that. As I mentioned, it develops into this line of storm, which is why this makes perfect sense that the Climate Prediction Center put the tornado risk a bit further to the west than the wind threat, which is a bit further to the east, as these storms will be picking up into more of a line structure as overnight wears on. Notice, this could even almost form into some sort of a derecho, ripping through northern Missouri into Kansas City, potentially Wichita. Look at that. That stays together all the way into 6 a.m., 7 a.m. It does start weakening as it approaches the Mississippi River, and then a band of generous rain, light to moderate rain further to the north. But again, this only goes to 11 a.m. tomorrow. If we were to take a look at the HRRR model run that goes out much further, again, a few hours old this data is, but it's fine. And notice that line starts separating and kind of tearing itself apart, but a new one starts forming in the afternoon. So notice lighter rain to the north. Look at that right there. Boom. We see thunderstorms into Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma City probably going to get slammed. St. Louis, maybe even Kansas City, seeing a second wave out of those storms that form in the afternoon. Again, further to the north, Green Bay, Chicago, Iowa, southern Minnesota, seeing light to moderate, potentially even some heavy rain, but no severe weather threat. That is going to be comparable to the south. Notice it does weaken again once the night comes on. Still, though, some powerful storms. Flooding threat should be minimal, as this will be kind of racing rather than training, right? Quick moving. And then notice to the north, more of some showers, storms, nothing really too heavy in terms of severe weather. And then look, it turns into the northeast. So by Friday in the morning / afternoon, potentially Dallas, northern Texas. Dallas is a large city right there, so it could get impacted by that storm line right there. And then more into the northeast, these move in to Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, and potentially up the northeast corridor. So in terms of rainfall, let's take a look. Notice, obviously, the heaviest amounts will be those isolated storms, those widespread lines of storms that will be occurring across the south. But even to the north, look at that. Wisconsin, Illinois, Iowa, decent ½ inch to potentially inch of rain. And obviously where the storms do occur and last for a bit longer, 2-3 inches, not out of the question. All right, NAM model. Pretty much the same setup with the lines of storms, similar timing. Just again, a bit more kind of focused on those lines of storms with the heavier rain. But generally, a decent rain event should be rather widespread. These areas need the rain, so that's definitely going to be good. NAM 3KM, a high-res model of the NAM 12KM. The NAM 3KM, which is similar to the NAM 12KM, just more high-res. Notice what it shows. A lot of colors. Obviously, some areas going from 2-3 inches where the thunderstorm occurs to others seeing a tenth, 2/10 of an inch, right? More broad, widespread rain further to the north across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, but still generous rains further to the south, just again, a bit more isolated. So let's see what the NAM 3KM shows. Again, this is a really, really recent model run. It just came in probably less than 30 minutes ago, this full information from this model. Notice there are our supercells, which are going to be occurring now into the next hour, forming into those lines, which could be the wind threat. Notice this races through the night, develops a lot of rain to the north. I mean, look at that. Minnesota, Minneapolis, almost all of it. South of really kind of, I don't know, the southern 2/3 of the state in heavy to moderate rain. And then notice the storms kind of die off, right? But they do pick up in the afternoon. And notice that the NAM 3KM doesn't keep the first line as strong as it does the second one. And the second one tears through the Quad Cities, Kansas City, Oklahoma City. Again, probably not too severe, but definitely, obviously, even if this was a typical thunderstorm, heavy rain, wind, maybe some small to decently sized hail, especially across the south. And that's why the Storm Prediction Center for tomorrow also has enhanced, which again may become a moderate across some of these areas. Tornado threat, not as high as today, but wind and hail approaching today's threats, which again they may honestly catch up and become that big of a threat. It's the wind right here is 30. It could get pushed into the 45 in tomorrow's update. Let's go back to this 3KM. Notice this is at 5, 4, 6, 7, 8. So this is into the evening hours. Look at that heavy rain across Illinois, right into southern Missouri, into Oklahoma City, into Texas, potentially reaching Dallas. This is now the overnight hours. Notice the heavy, steady rain to the north kind of falls apart, but we do see a re-intensification of that rain further west across Michigan into Ohio, and potentially even more precipitation lagging behind into southern Wisconsin as late as Friday. So again, it does slow itself. Again, more of a light to moderate rain further to the north and further to the south, a severe weather threat. Notice into Saturday, though, into late Friday and early Saturday, we do see storms picking up across the northeast. Again, some of them not severe, but definitely decent rain event. Look at that. A lot of these storms coming and forming together into a decent line of storms. Some of these cells, probably some damaging wind or some decent sized hail. Total accumulated precipitation, again, I showed you quite a bit of rain, especially as you get towards the northeast, which it doesn't show fully as it only goes out to 60 hours. This model did a very good job with the cold front that passed through yesterday and into the northeast today, and this is what it shows within 60 hours. Again, it shows a very large size of a band of storms across Missouri developing. So, again, this model probably better than the first model I showed you. The HRRR, as that one underestimated the cold front yesterday. This probably looks a bit overdone for today, but notice nevertheless it moves it forward, and it does keep a similar track to what the other models are showing. There we go. You can see some of these storms maybe a bit overdone, but generally keeping the same track. Further to the north, light to moderate rain. Nothing too significant in terms of severe weather, but definitely a good rain event. And to the south, more of the severe weather. And you can see this plows forward into portions of the northeast. And look at that. It develops across Texas, quite some bands of rain. So yeah, those are all the high-res models I wanted to show you. Actually, I could just show you the RGEM to Canadian high-res. So notice today explodes, shifts, definitely keeps that cluster strong all the way up until the Mississippi. It starts weakening it, and then look into 4, 5, 6, 8, right? All the storms developing eventually to Oklahoma, Texas, and the rain continuing to the north, and eventually across the northeast, some decent sized storms as well. Total accumulated precipitation. Let's take a glance. Again, it has the heaviest across that first band where that potential derecho may form, and further to the north, some moderate rain. Further to the south, pockets of very heavy rain, but again, a bit more isolated. If we were to take a look at the European model, which is a great global model, look what it does. Large cluster of storms by today in the late at night. Tomorrow, early in the morning, traveling through Des Moines, Iowa, approaching Wisconsin, Illinois, the Mississippi, a generous line of storms, tearing through Illinois, Missouri, and into eventually Indiana, Ohio, Look at that. Some rain developing on the backside. Storms into Texas, and look across the Northeast. Again, some nasty storms and some heavy rain as well into the weekend. But by Memorial Day, things should be clearing out. Now, this model, European, does keep some rain in. So that's definitely going to be interesting. Keeping it a bit wet there. They need it. It's pretty dry. So in terms of total accumulated precip from this model, European, notice it does show a lot to the north and to the south as well. Decent amounts, but a bit more isolated. You can see 3 inches. Some areas, not that much. To the north, it's more kind of not as varied. And you can see with that, with the second system across the Northeast, there could be also some decent amounts. So yeah, definitely an active pattern. Even as we go further, though, the Southeast starting to pick up some moisture, which they need pretty bad. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. 6 to 10 day outlook for those that are wondering in terms of temperatures. Notice favoring cooler across the south. That is definitely something to do with how much saturated their soil is, and less warming from the soil. So yeah, definitely keeping it a bit below average from June 1st through the 5th, above average to the north. 8 to 14 day outlook. The warmth spreads, the cool kind of dies down, but definitely you could see still cooler across the south and warmer across the north, which is a bit unusual. Precipitation wise, notice a bit drier towards the west, generally just above average towards the east. 6 to 10 day outlook in terms of precip, drier to the north and west, wetter across the south and east. So yeah, by the way, this does not encompass this storm that we are seeing right now. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.